What are the non-obvious signs of a smart person? They acknowledge areas where they lack knowledge. Never pretend to know something when you don't is something I always teach. Covers lying and ignorance. They'll listen to the other's facts and points and take them into account when giving an objection. Lateral thinking. The ability to think about some subject and then switch gears effortless into some other subject and keep them tied together in some way. This can lead to some ambling conversations, but that's always fascinating. If we say smart as in creative, some of the folks I've worked with will in a conversation work through the pros and cons and explore, or be able to explore, ideas in some depth with just the conversation. As opposed to doing next steps, they dive right in and want to get to something cool. And they can do so beyond some bullshit surface level conversation. This is amazing. When you take a smart person from another field and explain your problem to them, oftentimes they will have some tried and true method that they can offer up that's novel to you because your discipline/experience is sufficiently different from theirs. If we talk about real nuggets of gold, this would be among them. Not usually very assertive on sometimes their area or areas of expertise. I can't tell you how many times I've worked with super smart people who know some subject matter cold and will let some lesser opinion take hold because they didn't assert themselves. I've seen people leave firms rather than have to deal with some bad manager or co-worker who had less good ideas but who is more vocal about them. So often really smart people will take some non-trivial measure of joy in work which most other people find ridiculously boring or tedious, appreciate the write-up. No worries. That's just my 2 cents, I could be wrong. This is an actually good answer. So many other people on here just say something about arguments or not bragging or admitting when they don't know or are wrong. But these are just things that morally good people do, almost completely regardless of intelligence. A lot of the answers on here feel more like signs of a good person. I suppose you could say that many smart people are good people too, but I've known a good couple of brilliant people who are total assholes too. Nuance in their understanding of things. Yep. Smart people rarely make big absolute statements about anything. I see what you did there. Only a Sith. Anakin, my allegiance is to the Republic. To democracy. Talking to a dumb person will make you feel smart. Talking to a smart person will make you feel dumb. Talking to a very smart person will make you feel smart. I was just talking with my wife about my CEO and how he shares a tray with my uncle, who is also a CEO. It's one I've observed with a lot of smart and successful leaders. The common trait is that whenever I speak with them, they make me feel really smart. They genuinely come off like they learned something from me. It makes me feel good. It's a hell of a skill. We were discussing if it's something that can be learned and practiced. From what I can tell, it's about being honest about what you don't know, realizing when someone may know more about something, asking a lot of good questions, and expressing gratitude that the other person shared their knowledge with you. My favorite professor in college had this skill. I agree with everything you said. He'd make you feel so good while urging you to learn more and more. Half of my confidence is because of his classes/conservations with him. They tend to be, at least in my experience, more open to criticism or being shown facts that change their opinions on things. I don't know if that really falls under smart or more of a wise trait. I'd say wise. But often those who are wise are smart, just not the other way around due to people being arrogant. A square is a rectangle, but a rectangle is not a square. All squares are rectangles, but not all rectangles are square-sided. Changed to reflect the more coherent thoughts of my fellow redditors. As I wrote the original in a half asleep days. U/Wingsafrain is very wise edit. Wow, I started at 33 karma before posting this comment. Thanks for the gold, stranger. But is he wise enough to see why kids love the taste of Cinnamon Toast Crunch? Because it's completely coated in sugar. I feel like I can't think of an answer for this one without immediately thinking of multiple contradictory examples. I've spent my entire adult life in academia, and there really isn't a unifying characteristic of all of the highly successful people I have met. I suppose if I were trying to get a sense of someone in an interview setting, I would look for evidence of active listening and ability to ask critical questions on the fly. That said, I know some pretty smart people who are perpetually distracted listeners. I think that's because our definition of smart is so nebulous. Is being smart about knowing lots of things? Is it about being a good learner or a quick learner? Do smart people have innate talent, or have they worked for years to achieve their success? Is having academic intelligence smart? What about emotional intelligence? You might call someone who can memorize things quickly smart, but you'd also call someone who can work out problems quickly smart. It's smart to take a long time to figure out a clever solution to the same problem. Does studying make you smart? Take 2 straight A students. One studies for hours, and the other is able to pick up subject material quickly in class with little supplemental work. Which one is smarter? I think smart is a catch-all word for describing a lot of different mental states and dispositions. But, especially during grade school, it's reduced down to certain kinds of success. I personally define intelligence as the ability to think critically and abstractly. It has nothing to do with admitting you are wrong, or not arguing with stupid people, or many of the other answers in this thread. Those answers to me are indicative of emotional intelligence, which is an equally, if not more, important, but different trait. Do you think critical and abstract thinking might contribute to decisions like separating your ego from whether you are wrong, or recognizing that an argument with a certain person is fruitless? To an extent. Because even if you're intelligent enough to know that you're being narcissistic, or that you shouldn't do something, that doesn't mean that you're mature enough to act appropriately. Like, I get into stupid Reddit arguments all the time that I are a waste of my time, but then I'm also bored and can't help myself. Just because you logically know not to do something doesn't mean you won't do it anyways. Pattern recognition. Part of the reason smart people throughout history are well known is because they discovered something new and figured out how to maximize its potential. Darwin was a guy who discovered a bunch of islands with slightly different animals. He then collected and analyzed that data to come up with the theory of evolution, which was largely correct. Einstein's theory of relativity was based off of his observation that physics acted on everything equally. He figured out that exceptions were because of the way high-speed objects interact with the universe's speed limit, the speed of light. He recognized these exceptions by gathering them and recognizing the pattern between them all, then created his theory of relativity based on that. I'd say that the faster and or deeper a person can recognize patterns, the smarter they are. Patterns are in everything: music, math, video games, really any computer program by its very nature. Language. Patterns are life. Everything you do is learned behavior from your own experiences. From how you get up, shower, get dressed, cook, eat, drive, work, deal with others and yourself. If you have a repetitive problem in life, always look inwards. Bad boyfriends or girlfriends, frequent fender benders, trouble with money, it's probably all you, and not the exterior world. Find the pattern and change it. Smart people are probably better at finding patterns in new things that they don't have previous experience with. I think this is the basis of the early Mensa tests or most run-of-the-mill online IQ tests. Real IQ tests are much more in-depth, but a baseline is someone's ability to identify patterns in things they cannot already have experience with. Often pictures of arbitrary shapes, lines, dots, colors, and combinations of those things are sorted through patterns, and the person is out to task identifying those patterns. I also wonder about the correlation between aptitude and intelligence. Do they follow each other closely? Can you have one in high regard, but the other with little skill? I should go look up some papers on that. Admitting when they are wrong. Updating their opinion/beliefs when presented with proper evidence. I don't know about this one. Met plenty of smart people in my life. Many of them unable to admit they're wrong. You can be extremely smart and an enormous asshole. In fact, the two coincide often. Edit. Lots of quibbling over what smart actually means. My only point is this: truly intelligent people are not always guaranteed to be humble. They are often arrogant or stubborn. That doesn't change the fact that they are intelligent. It's worth accepting in life there are people smarter or more capable than you who aren't good people. Virtue isn't a guarantor of excellence and vice versa. They weren't that smart then. You'd be surprised. Some of the most brilliant people you can ever meet can also be the most insufferable. Being right all the time makes you arrogant. I would assume this has to do with Gardner's theory of multiple intelligences. For example, someone can have high mathematical intelligence, but at the same time have low interpersonal and social intelligence. The ability to see both sides of the coin, rather than just one side. What about the third side? Never forget the third side. You can balance nickels on that side. Also quarters too. If you're good at balancing. 20p, 50p and £1 are easiest to balance because of their flat edges. Laughs in British. The problem with the world is that the intelligent people are full of doubts, while the stupid ones are full of confidence. Charles Bukowski. That's actually a misquote of Bertrand Russell. The fundamental cause of trouble in the world today is that the stupid are cocksure, while the intelligent are full of doubt. Apostrophe. And that sounds like it was inspired by this W.B. Yeats line. The best lack all conviction, while the worst are full of passionate intensity. Molly Bloom. Yes yes yes. Larger dendrites in the frontal and temporal lobes. You're a front lobe. Your mom has front and back lobes. Thank you. She's a freak for both lobes at once too. The dirty mix. Being able to acknowledge when they're wrong. This and also being able to admit I don't know. Or simply being quiet when they don't know something. As opposed to trying to sound smart in spite of their ignorance. Edit. Thanks for all the happy cake day wishes. I also have over 20 chat requests. I must confess my ignorance of the chat system on Reddit. I don't know how to tell who is making the requests or if, in a given moment, a particular requester is available to chat. Better to remain silent and be thoughtful than to speak out and remove all doubt. I say it's better to remove all doubt sooner than later. Less disappointment for everyone. If you are new to Tattletale TV, please subscribe. We have new videos every day. Stay tuned for more coming up next.